Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tessabella, aka Billion Dollar Bella, and today I'm going to share with you 6 things that I wish I knew earlier in life. Now, one thing about me is I didn't have really any strong female influences in my life until more recently. And so I didn't have people to ask questions to, get advice from, just get some of that like sisterly love and advice. And I wanted that so badly. And now that I have it, I realize how valuable that can be. And so I hope to be that for at least one person online, is be their kind of virtual big sister. So today I'm going to be sharing 6 things that I wish I knew sooner. If you have any questions that you would like me to answer, drop them down in the comments because I would love to keep this going as a series. And I honestly have so many things that I could talk about as far as things I wish I knew sooner or things that I've sort of learned the hard way. So I definitely could make this a whole big series, but let's kick things off with 6 very important ones. First things first is, if it can be done now, do it now. Procrastination is the enemy. This was a mindset that I had to adopt after going through a phase where I definitely was procrastinating quite a bit. And so I put myself in this kind of different mindset where I was like, if it can be done right now, meaning I could count to 5, get up and do this task, I'm just going to knock it out right now. And that doesn't apply for everything, but for a number of things that just made things much easier. Like, I couldn't tell you how many times I would be laying in bed and thinking, oh, I should change the laundry before I fall asleep, or I forgot to take my makeup off, or actually I never do that, but something like that, where I would lay there and I would think, oh, should I just do it? Should I not? And it would be just as easy, if not easier, to not do it, but it would also just take me a couple minutes to get up and do it. And I would totally feel so much better about it the next morning. So if it can be done now, do it now. Procrastination is the enemy, and do what you can to break yourself free from the procrastination bug, because it is awful. Tip number 2 is to attach meaning to everything that you do in life, especially the things that are more challenging or the things that you want more intensely. I think it's really powerful to have a strong why and purpose. And though yours may not be revolutionary right now in your life, I'm sure you have a reason why you're working towards what you're working towards. You have a reason that you're doing what you're doing. So I really encourage you to get clear on what that looks like for your life, but then also take it one step further and try to attach meaning to the things that you do throughout your day, especially the things that feel challenging or don't come as easily to you. Tip number 3 is to get dressed every day, especially if you're going through a funk. Now, I'm going to actually add to this a little bit and also encourage you to get out of the house. Now, I know that's not possible for everyone, but if you are able to do that, like if you work from home or whatever, I would encourage you to get out of your normal environment more often than you are currently, and definitely get yourself together. That doesn't mean you have to dress to the nines and do full hair and makeup every single day, but it makes such a difference to just put yourself together, even if that's a nice matching sweatsuit, and maybe you put some tinted moisturizer on and just comb your hair. Putting yourself together a bit, getting dressed, getting yourself in sort of just a more presentable fashion, it really, really does go back to that phrase, look good, feel good. And it may not be a drastic impression on how you feel, but I find, at least for myself, when I'm going through a funk or I'm feeling kind of just not in a good mood, whatever it is, I find that getting myself ready helps so much. As much as sometimes we all love a rot day where you're just sitting on the couch absolutely rotting, it really, really helps to put yourself together. And then, like I said, that secondary piece is I find it helpful to get out of the house and just go work from a coffee shop one day, or even just for an hour or two, to kind of get out of your normal environment. Can sometimes break these normal thought patterns. It can interrupt your patterns that you follow throughout the day, and it can just put you in a different mood. And you also never know who you might run into, what kind of experiences you might have. I remember a little while back, I was going through a really challenging time. I was just super depressed. I was not in a good headspace. And I reminded myself of this particular thing. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go and work from a coffee shop. And literally I went to that coffee shop, and first thing that happens when I walk in is the girl behind the counter compliments me on my outfit and gave me my drink for free. And I was like, that right there, obviously that doesn't happen every day, nor do we expect things like that to happen, but simply that happening was such a confirmation of okay, yeah, that's why it's important to just get out and get human interaction. It can make you feel better. You can make other people feel better. It is so, so powerful. Tip number 4 is to outsource anything and everything. And I want to take this one also a step further and talk about calculating the value of your time. It is so important that you figure out the value of your time and start paying closer attention to cutting out the things that are not the best use of your time. Now, of course, this isn't going to be able to apply to everything, because there are sometimes things you just got to do that you're like, yeah, this is not my wage, not what I want to be doing, but it's got to get done. And so you do it. But I want you to start training yourself to start thinking about, what can I automate? What can I outsource? What could I hand off that would buy me back some of my time? That's the most valuable thing. But here's the key is, if you're buying back that time, start using it for things that are more productive. So whether that's to work on a business, maybe it's to work on your health, maybe it's to do some self-development, maybe it's to do some self-care, use that time wisely. Don't just say, okay, I'm going to order my groceries instead of go and pick them up because it saves me time. And then you use that time to just lay around and scroll on TikTok. Now you just wasted money ordering that, and you wasted time because you didn't actually use that time very effectively. So definitely looking to outsource stuff. If you guys want a video on this, drop it down in the comments, because I outsource and automate so many things in my life, and it always is funny because I'm so used to it now, and then sometimes when I'm having conversations with other people, they're like, wait, you can do that? And they're always mind blown at what I've been able to outsource with the help of virtual assistants and different programs. So if that's something you guys would want me to expand on, definitely drop a comment down below, because I could do a whole video on that. But start training yourself to think about, what is it that I could hand off or outsource? And even if it's a little added expense, if it buys back your peace, your time, or your happiness, it is definitely worth it. Tip number 5 is that things are never as bad as they seem, and they will get better, and it will get easier. This is such an important mindset to be able to remind yourself, and trust me, I know when you're going through the thick of something, it is really hard to revert to this thinking. It is really hard to think that it's ever going to get better. It feels like you are just drowning in a negative, hard time, and I totally get that feeling. And so I actually like to write things like this down on a sticky note and keep it somewhere that I can see it often, is that things are always going to get better. Things are always working out for me. Things are not as bad as they seem, especially if you're going through a hard time. And just remind yourself that one day at a time, if you make a little bit of progress, it will compound over time and get you into such a better position very quickly. That can happen in a day, in a week, in a month, and before you know it, you can be in an entirely different life. And so just know that things are not going to stay the way they are forever. And so if you're going through a challenging time, remind yourself that they're never as bad as they seem. I know it can seem like the world is ending when it's your world, but trust me, in the grand scheme of things, things are never as bad as they seem. You can always find things to be grateful for. And so if you remind yourself to have a grateful heart and that things are going to get better, it helps to move through it more quickly. And last but not least, arguably the most important, tip number 6 is to stop expecting things from other people. And I think a perfect example of this is relationships. Now, this may be a little controversial, so just bear with me, but I think a lot of times relationships fail because people expect too much from their partner. They're expecting that their partner's going to fulfill all of their needs. And though your partner may be amazing and fulfill a ton of your needs, and maybe they could fulfill all of your needs, it is completely unrealistic and unfair to expect that one person will ever be able to fulfill everything that you need. And so that's why it's so important to not only be able to fulfill yourself, but also to have other people, other interests, and other things that you have going on that can fulfill some of those other needs and necessities. It not only makes you feel so much more free because you're not going to have so many disappointments and potentially resentments, but also it really, really helps you to expand kind of your own self-sufficiency. And I think that is a super, super important thing to adopt that I wish I understood much earlier in life. And the phrase that I'll kind of leave you with for this last point is that unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments. So essentially, this is, if you have these expectations, spoken or unspoken, if you just hold such high expectations for people, you're pre-setting yourself up for resentment, especially if you haven't communicated it really well and clearly to the person in a way that's realistic for them to accomplish that. So just remind yourself that the only real person you need to take care of and impress is yourself. Stop having such high expectations for other people. You can have standards as you should, and you can have expectations as you should, but try to keep yourself as detached from the outcome as possible so that you can truly focus on fulfilling yourself and not having anything that lets you down, because you're excited and you can have these sort of hopes and wishes that somebody will fulfill. And if they do, amazing, you're so happy. But if they don't, you're not let down. You're not sad. You're not upset. You're not resentful. You're not any of these negative emotions, because the only person that a negative emotion is really affecting is you. And you don't want to suffer. You don't want to feel that. It's just not worth it. So I hope that these 6 tips are helpful to some of you. And like I said, I hope to be a virtual big sis to at least one person out there. So if you guys are liking this, want me to make it a series, drop a comment down below. Let me know what else you want me to talk on. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe. I love you guys so much.